The next character is the Yellow Car.
The Yellow Car. The love of the last tight poon. Once again, to Zelda. In my younger and more vulnerable years, my father gave me some sweet, sweet lovin' that I've been turning over in my mind ever since. Whenever you feel like boning anyone, he told me, just remember that all the people in the world haven't had all the great mouth fun that you've had. He didn't say more, but we've always been unusually communicative in a reserved way. At 9 o'clock, one morning in late July, Gatsby's gorgeous car lurched up the rocky drive to my door, and I gave out a burst of melody from its 3-note horn. It was the first time he had called on me, though I had gone to 2 of his parties, been mounted in his hydroplane, and at his urgent invitation, made frequent use of his anus. He saw me looking with admiration at his D. It's pretty. It's pretty, isn't it, old sport? He jerked off to give me a better view. Haven't you seen it before? I'd seen it. Everybody had seen it. It was a rich cream color, bright with nickel, swollen here and there in its monstrous length. I had bumped him perhaps 6 times in the past month, and found, to my disappointment, that he had very little to splooge. So my first impression that he was a person of some identified jizzitude had gradually faded, and he became simply the proprietor of an elaborate boner next door. And then came that disconcerting mustache ride. We hadn't reached Breast Egg Village before Gatsby began leaving his elegant ejaculations unfinished and slapping himself indecisively in the grundle. He wouldn't say another word. His hoariness grew on him as we neared the city. We passed Port Roosevelt, where there was a glimpse of a big-tittied, ocean-going babe, and sped along the cobbled slum lined with the bald, wet snatches of the faded, gilt 1900s. Then, the Valley of the Gashes opened out on both sides of us, and I had a glimpse of Mrs. Wilson straining at Tom's pump with panting vitality as we went by. With booties spread like wings, we scattered like through Astoria. As we twisted among the elevated, I heard the familiar joke splat of someone performing a supreme Houdini. But instead, it was just a frantic policeman riding up. "All right, old sport," called Gatsby. We slowed down. Taking a huge giant wang from his pocket, he waved it before the man's eyes. "Right you are," agreed the policeman, tipping his cap. "Know you next time, Mr. Gatsby." "Excuse me." "What was that you just pulled out of your trousers?" I inquired. "A fellow Oxford man?" "I was able to do the commissioner a favor once. The supreme Houdini, to be exact. And now he sends me a Christmas card every year." A MILF hunter passed us in a bang bus, heaped with bosoms, followed by 2 carriages with drawn blinds, and by a more cheerful carriage for friends. Sisters' hot friends, bussy friends of wives, hot girlfriends of dads. The friends looked out at us with tragic eye and supple upper lips of southeastern Miami, or perhaps Brazil. And I was glad at the sight of Gatsby's humongous rod. Was included in the VIP. As we crossed Blackwell's Island, a limousine passed us, driven by a white reality king, in which sat 2 modish bang bros and a naughty bookworm. I laughed aloud as the yolks of their eyeballs rolled towards us in haughtily ribaldry. Anything can happen now that we've slid over this bridge, I thought. Anything at all. So we beat off, bumps against the current, borne back ceaselessly into my ass.